It hurts. Don't do it, right? People will remember how they left your class by how they feel. If that felt wrong, they're not going to feel good. And that's a thing to remember, right? Just do bridge. You don't again, that picture on the board or the picture in your mind of all these asanas that you think you have to do, fuck it. You don't have to do every goddamn asana in the book, right? Because you know what? It's great if you can. If you have 4 hours to practice, fucking do every single asana. But if you do not, this is a way of shortcutting and getting people into a peak and able to really feel, right? And so again, if it's families of asana, because I'm not going to break down every single family because we could spend a whole weekend on it. If it looks like it, acts like it, it's related, right? Did you see how all those twists were related to that? Okay, so I want us to create something. I don't remember how long we're supposed to go to. Oh, good. Yay! I rock. Oh my God. I am so excited. That was like the best because I was like, oh God. I feel like I was. So any questions so far? Right. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yes. That is important. So I want you to think, and as for you, right? Do you know the story of Buddha? Buddha. Buddha. Sat under the tree. Do you know how long he sat there for? It's a long frickin' time. Okay? So you may have to sit in goddess pose for 108 years. And you may not get it in this lifetime. It may be your next lifetime. And again, the thing that you have to remember and the things that, and in the class when I was teaching today, right, it was stay in the krama that is right for you and just breathe. Close your eyes and meditate. Feel that pulsation. Feel yourself pulsate, right? And so what we didn't get into is sort of, there are, and this is, and so we have time. There are I'm like, oh, now I have lots of time. Now that I know I have till 5 o'clock, we got all day. Yeah, woo. There are tricks that you as a teacher can do to help people to go deeper and stay longer. And what it is tricking their mind, which tricks the body. Right? Because some people are in it and they're just like, oh, this hurts. I'm coming out. Right? So by doing that, one of the things is, and these are just little tricks, a pulsation vinyasa. Right? And so let's say you wanted, again, to teach handstand. Right? Okay? Let's say you were teaching Bakasana. You can have people understand that by being in plank and pulsate. And by pulsating, it means, right, we did it in class today at the beginning. We sat in Malasana and I said, press the knees away, inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, coil in, bow to the heart center. Inhale, lift. And so that's a pulsation within an asana. That is helping people in the Malasana, Bhujapidasana, Vishwamitrasana family to understand how to expand and contract, right? Since you're already down, come into plank. I'm going to pick on him because I know he has a good handstand, right? So come into plank, drop that hip, lengthen, coil. Yeah. And now to pulsate, pull the navel in, coil, and then press through the heels, lengthen the spine. No, don't come on up. All right, so here. He's already rounding because he's ready to come up. Plank. This is plank. Pulsation is while you're in plank, press the earth away, pull the navel to the spine. Feel the belly coil in, and then lengthen out. Okay? And do you see how I am pulsating? I'm not holding plank. But if I pulsate, right, if I feel, yeah, that's it. Now I can hold plank longer because what I'm adding is a little movement. Movement is a way as a tool to trick your brain. Okay? So you're feeling that coil, but it's also used as a teaching tool. That coiling in, right, comes into, when we come into Bakasana, right, you root down, you coil in. Do you see how that's the same action? Do you see how I coil in, wrapping the elbows around, and then to come up, I pull the navel and draw up. It's the same thing in plank. All I've done is taken them to understand it in different forms. And later on, you're going to see that same coiling action through the class so that they understand how to coil, how to pull in, how to engage into Uddiyana Bandha. Right? And that would be teaching of Bakasana or handstand or tripod headstand. Right? That is going to, or Ekapada Bakasana. Right? And so let's say for if you're in, right, you're here, and I say feet are together, you're in this Malasana, the hands come back, and you're going up and down, and up and down, right? And so now I'm putting you in something, so you're not just sitting there doing nothing going, oh, look at how pretty that person is, I'll never do that. Because what you've already done then is triggered into your mind, never. And so if you just sit and be like, I often say, close your eyes, pray. Pray to Buddha, pray to Jesus, pray to whoever it is you want to pray to. Be in that meditation state, not in the state of, oh, look at that pretty Instagram picture. That's why, like, that social media is a little bit of a trigger, because we see it all the time, right? Movies, TV, everything, Instagram, social media has gotten us into this, like, oh, that's so pretty, that's so cool, I want to do that, but I can't, right? You can do it. You teach your body in chromic stages. Right? And so that you start to learn that, I can be in Malasana, I can be in Goddess, I can be here. I may have to be here my whole life, 108 years. There are worse things in life to do, right? So doing that for 108 years, it's not a bad life. So that's one way of tricking or using the energy. The other way is a body vinyasa, okay? Body vinyasa, oh, I think I have music playing. I was like, oh, I hear music. So a body vinyasa is moving of a body part within the asana. Does that make sense? And so today in the workshop, we're in Malasana, and we open the arm and brought it in. Open the arm, added a little spinal movement from the hip, because we were in the hip, and drinking out, right? I've been into bar classes, and you like a body vinyasa, right? You're here, right? These are movements, right? You can do it in a pulsation, or you can move the fullness, right? In Vira 1, if you were like, right, some people can do, let's say you want to focus in on Apanavayu and Pranavayu. A body vinyasa would be for the shoulders, right? Again, how do we open up the shoulders? Yes! Someone brought her thinking cap. Yes! Right? So again, I'm in a hip opener. Let's say I'm teaching a very powerful, going into like Bakasana, right? You need to have your shoulders open. So I do a body vinyasa. I trick the brain. Let's be here and feel this moving meditation. I don't sit here and hold this asana. Okay, now hold it and breathe. And they're like, oh, God, please, please. So I put them here, right? And then I have your arms come into a body vinyasa. Apanavayu, root down, get deeper. Now stay rooted and let the arms rise. Pranavayu. Exhale, Apanavayu, see if you can sit even deeper. Press into the earth. inhale. And this is a body vinyasa. Now, I've just tricked them. Instead of just being here like this, letting them tremble, I mean, like, I've done the same thing. I've just started to get them into a movement, right? The lower body, rooted like a tree. The upper body, soft like the branches. They're able to move. If you do, that allows them, right, to feel that opening for the shoulder each time. That movement helps to open the shoulder. That is a body vinyasa. Again, another body vinyasa. I see this all the time in power classes, right? Inhale, right, and pull in, right? Again, that can teach Bakasana. That can teach Ekapada Bakasana. See how that is related to Ekapada Bakasana? Right? Because I'm doing here, right? And so if you're coming into Ekapada Bakasana here, and imagine I was in that, pull the knee into the center. See how it is? And then extend it. Pull the knee into the center and extend it, right? It's the same action, same thing, right? You can be here, 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 and all of a sudden your students are learning the action of Bakasana or Ekapada Bakasana through a body vinyasa. We're not recreating like the atom. We're not splitting the atom, people. It's yoga, right? All we're doing is giving it a new way of thinking about it. Because for most of us, right, you're not given like myself where you have 2 to 3 hours to teach an entire class. You're given an hour. How can you make the most of an hour? How can you be creative and how can you be efficient, right? How can you get the most bang for your buck? Because people, right, they want that. They want to be like, and you can do an hour class, be creative, and really help them to like peak. Everyone, and I will tell you this, everyone loves a peak pose. Love it. But understanding why you're doing it and how you're going to get them to do it is for teachers. Because some teachers are like, I want to do Hanumanasana, right? Or I want to teach something, right? Standing Vishvamitrasan or Bird of Paradise, but they don't do the proper things to get people ready for it, right? And so, again, you have to understand, if you're going to teach in the wave of creating a peak, then you need to understand how to move them through the cycles to get to that. Because you just can't go, do Vira 1, Vira 2, side angle, Trikonasana. Okay, now wrap your foot around your head. They're going to be like, are you shitting me? And then some people, I mean, like, you know, you're super bendy people in class. They're like, yeah, right? And you always have the super bendy people, and that's okay, right? And you also have the people who are in class who are not bendy, right? And they're there going like, oh, I'm never going to do this. And they can feel defeated. You do not want people to feel defeated in your class. You want them to feel uplifted. Like they tried something new. They've experienced, they went on that hike to climb the mountain so that they could touch heaven just for a second. Right? And so every stage, every krama helps them to get that. Right? And so they may have to stay in the first krama. And again, you need to sort of refocus them and to be like, the first krama is where you need to be. Breathe. To the point where the first stage is just bliss, right? And then they can feel the second stage. Okay, so we have pulsations, body vinyasa, the next being a rhythmic vinyasa. Rhythmic? Yep, rhythmic vinyasa. So, a rhythmic vinyasa is moving to asanas. The most common one, I will say, every teacher does it, everyone who does vinyasa, is Parsva Viratu and Parsva Konasan. It is the most common, right? Or Vira 1, 2. Again, Vira 1, Vira 2, I wouldn't consider it as a rhythmic vinyasa because the hips are going from squared to open. In the rhythmic vinyasa, the hips are in the exact same plane. So and that's why for most of us, right, a rhythmic vinyasa is inhale, reverse, exhale, extend. You could also do that in here, right? Inhale, exhale. In Vira 1, right? And so this is creating the same thing in a rhythmic vinyasa because we're moving from one asana to another asana. And they share in the hip, right? And then you can create all of that in a wave vinyasa, okay? So that would happen, right? We'll look at it in thinking of those waves as pulsation, body vinyasa, and a rhythmic vinyasa, all right? And so let's say you're here. You bring people, inhale, and exhale. And so you let them pulsate. So we're doing a mini wave vinyasa in, X, and this is a wave. And then you in, here's that pulse, and here's the body vinyasa, and then send it out. And it's the same action, right? Take it up, and then they feel this, and then they X. And so now they're feeling that rhythmic vinyasa, and then they do this here to here, right? And they're feeling this, and then you could bring it finally in, and you take it up and down, and they feel the same thing. And now they've done a pulsation, a body vinyasa, a rhythmic vinyasa in a mini wave. That makes in a wave. We've incorporated all those elements into one little sequence, and that becomes a wave. See that? That's true. That is, because what I've just done is so that they're here, they feel plank, pulse, they're feeling the body vinyasa, right? And so they're not getting stuck, right? Some people get stuck and they're like, okay, I'm holding this, or I have to hold this. And they're like, tremble, tremble, tremble. And so I'm just letting them experience it in a flow. And then they have that. And so now they're in a wave. It is. Right? So what we're going to do, okay, write down a peak pose. Go ahead. Something you would like to create. I still have time. Because some of you want to create. Who wants to create? Yeah. Okay, let's create. Let's be creative. Put our thinking caps on for a moment so I'm not the only one talking. All right. Think of that peak pose. Now, think of different relatives of that pose. What does it look like? Again, let's say you are teaching that side crow, right? You could also teach, and I didn't even get into that, right? You have that twisting Kaundini asana, right? Do you see how this is the same asana as the arm balance? Right? It's the same. Right, so start thinking outside of just Vira 1, Vira 2, extended side angle, reverse, blah, 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 Trikonasana. Okay, we're down on the ground. Okay, well, let's come up and do tree. Like, I don't know how many times I've been in class, and it's like, Veer 1, we'll Surya A, Surya B. All right, we'll do a few standing poses. Okay, come to the top of your mat, tree. And I'm like, are you kidding me? What's the point, right? Have it relate. If it doesn't relate, don't do it. Something that requires, today, we could have done that Utthita Hasta Padangustasana. Do you see how that can relate? It could totally relate. I chose not to because I wanted to keep the waves very short, very concise. It was a long, long workshop in the hips. We could have totally taught that. If you wanted to teach Bird of Paradise, let's say you want to teach Bird of Paradise. This is a perfectly phenomenal asana to teach. Does it look like Bird of Paradise? Then it is. Right? Bird of Paradise. Do you see how it's related? Do you see how then, oh, okay, I can teach this in a way that makes sense. So, or you figure out what goes with what, and then you put it together. So, think of the peak pose. Find, let's say, 3 to 4 asanas that are related. And then how can you add within that mini wave or in those asanas a pulsation, a body vinyasa, and a rhythmic vinyasa. And those things will create a wave, right? Did you see how this is a wave, right? In, out, in, out. And do it a couple times. In, out, in. And then I'm doing it again, right? And they feel that, and then all of a sudden they're here, and they're like, ah. And it could be then here, ah, and then back, whatever you want, okay? And that completes a mini wave. But know what the peak is so that you're not just throwing in asanas, so that they start to relate to them. Orkidoki, urso tricky, tricky. You can do it. You've taken enough yoga class. I believe in you. I believe. It doesn't have. So again, okay, get out of thinking complicated is better. Complicated is not always better. In the solar wave today, we had Vera 1 into Humble Warrior. Humble Warrior, we did a body vinyasa, okay? From there, we came back up into Vera 1, went into Skandasana. Really the end of our standing series. That was it. And then it was the arm balance if they wanted, and we were done. And so right there, that's 3 asanas that we did that were all related to standing Vishvamitrasana, but they were done simple, and I used the pulsation, I used the body vinyasa, and I used a rhythmic vinyasa. Okay? And so that they were able to be like, oh, okay, I'm holding this, but I'm moving in it. And then take it out. It was 3 asanas. 3 asanas. And everyone thought the waves were really long, or they thought it was very challenging. It wasn't. They were very, very simple waves. And I'm not talking about the core cultivation, the namaskar, all the things that lead up to the wave. I'm talking about the meat of your class, right? Stop thinking about the meditation, thinking about the namaskar, thinking about your core cultivation. Come into the meat, right? Because that's where most of us spend a lot of our time at, right? And so create. I'm going to stop talking. Create something. Yes, we have a question.
When you're thinking of a peak asana, and then also like the asanas that relate to the peak, do you also choose asanas that open up different parts of the body or activate different parts of the body for that asana?
Yes. Right. So let's say your peak was side plank, right? This big toe. Yowza. There we go. Right? So let's say this is your peak. Okay? What has to open there? I mean, everything has to open. Hamstrings and the hip, right? Shoulder, and you're using the shoulder, though, as much more of a strengthening. Do you see how this is strength? This is open. Not as much here, but you're going to feel this. You want strengthening, hip opening, hamstring. Keep it simple. You can do a ton of other things. But again, in that situation, right? Ton of twists. Is there a twist going on? Does this require a twist? Right? I'm not twisting in this asana. There is no twisting happening. This is a twist, but that's a different asana. Right? Does this look like side plank? Yeah. Okay. There's right there you have, oh, okay, right? And so you can create around that, right? Right? You can do these standing hip mandalas, right? And then they come up, catch your toe, open, right? Hip mandala. This is what? A body, right? I'm moving a body part. I'm not pulsating. I'm moving my hip, right? And so let's say you're taking it there, right? And so like each wave you came up, did here. Here, you stood. Right? And then you wanted, let's say this is going to be your peak. Utthita Hasta Padangustasana. Right? And so you came, you did shit, whatever. You brought them up. Here's the end of the wave. Stand, pull the right knee and open the hip to the circle. Right? And then turn it. And then we complete. Send it back, right? Vira 3, right? Wave. Come back up, do the other side. 1 second, and then we'll get it. Come, do your wave. Come back up. My microphone's falling through here. Looks funny. Okay, then you complete standing. Then you come, this is your second wave, right? You come, okay, lift, lift. Now take hand to the inside, extend, and open. And so in the wave, you've done hamstring, you've done hip, you're done. So the first wave, right, let's say, completing this right off the top of the head, right? You come standing, hip mandala, hip mandala, hip mandala. Step it back. Let's do the other side because everyone wants to start on the right side. Hip mandala, step back, right? So here, I'm going to incorporate a hip opener, right? So take it up, right? High lunge, open, warrior 2. Take it into a body vinyasa. Rhythmic vinyasa, excuse me. Here, I'm in my hip. Come down, Ardha Hanuman. Counter. And don't you need hamstring openers? Okay. You go through your vinyasa, bring them back up. They do the other side. Step back, do. They do it, right? Come back to the top, right? So now we're on the second part. They're going to do it again. Here we are. Oops, I started with the left. So now I need more hamstring opener. So I come here, step back. Now I could take it in here, Padottanasana, right? Do whatever you want. Open it up, warrior 2, Trikonasana. Back into the hamstring. Come down, Ardha Hanuman. Complete, other side. They come back up to the top. They go hip mandala, take hold of your big toe. Oh, look. And then open. You could also teach it later, if you wanted, to have this, right? It could be at the end of the wave. So that after every time you came down Ardha Hanuman, you came forward, you stepped, right? First, the feet are stacked, boom. Next, foot is here, boom. Or here, right? Or you can actually do the other thing, right? These are just all kinds of things to start thinking about. They're in down dog. Take the leg up. Bring the knee in. Stay in down dog. Do a hip mandala. Does this look like what we were doing when we were standing? I can't hear you. Yeah, and it's the same thing, right? And I'm opening the hamstring of the back leg and moving my hip. And then I take it, extend it out, down dog, step forward. So they're seeing the same idea here, 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 boom. While they're doing it, right here, my hamstring is opening on my left leg, my hip is getting the release. Step, whatever you want. Padottanasana, right? Or if you want to do hip, 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 forward fold, jump back, chaturanga. That's usually the safe thing that everyone does. You can be creative and do right, step. Everything on the right. Left, step. Right? Or, to think of it in a wave, right, here you go. We're going to keep it super simple. Here, hip mandala, step it back. Vira 3, it shares in that, right? In Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Step it back, right? Come up. You can do circle the arms, or you could do, right, a body vinyasa. Hands come around, take prayer, or opposite elbows, forward. We're in the hamstring opener. Release the hands, standing split. Hamstring opener. Step it back, turn the heel, come up, warrior 2. Reverse, extended side angle. Reverse, extended side angle. Reverse, extended side angle. We're in the hip. Right? Come back up, cartwheel down, lower Ardha Hanuman, right? And then you come forward, step back, boom, here. Move through vinyasa, or we'll all meet in down dog. So now what just happened was I stepped back with my right foot, okay? Now I'm in down dog, right? I want to step forward with my right foot, so I go inhale the left leg, exhale, inhale the right leg, exhale. Now, instead of doing that, I do the wave in reverse. Padottanasana, here we go, hands, boom. Padottanasana, standing split, take it back, warrior 2, do, rhythmic vinyasa, breathe, take it down, Ardha Hanuman, step back, do, right? I go through my vinyasa. I then float or step forward, right? Inhale, lengthen halfway. Come up, circle, and then left hip. And I completed the wave. Down. And that's one wave completed from front to back, moving from right to left or left to right, whichever way you want to do it, right? Because most of the time, your students want to start with the right foot forward. So if you're going to do it like this, right, you would circle the left hip, step back, boom, all that. Then you do, step forward, and they do the right. They're done. Next wave, left knee, circle, 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 right? If you want now, take hold, right? Or if you only have time for one wave, right, you've already done it, boom. You've already incorporated the elements that have to go in there. The hip, the hamstring, the balance. Does that make sense? Orkadoke, create. Unless you have a question. You can do them in any way you want, right? Pulsations are a little bit harder to do because it's a smaller, right? It's this coiling in and out. It's that expansion. So if you need to leave a pulsation out, if you need to leave one of them out, leave it out. But see if you can start to incorporate as many of them as you can. Does that make sense? Right? Not everything has to have a pulsation. Not everything has to have a body vinyasa. Not everything has to have a rhythmic vinyasa. But if you can, it helps your students to understand. And if it relates to where you're going, then definitely do it. Right? So if you're going to focus in on Ekapada Bakasana, you better have I don't want to say better, you should have a pulsation, because that pulsation of coiling in teaches them, right? See how just here, 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 Here teaches them here to be here, 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 right? Same. Do you see how that relates to it? And can help them to then be like, oh, okay, I get it. My core understands it. Yes, yes. You're always looking at the peak as a way of preparing the body to move in that direction. Right? If you want someone to go north, you don't send them south. I mean, eventually they'll get there, but they're going to go all the way around the planet. Right? If you're like, hey, go to that, I don't know, is that a humidifier? Whatever it is. You don't send them all the way over to Las Vegas and be like, oh, I want you to go there 20 feet away, but go south to Vegas first and then come around down through Utah and this way today. Send them right there, right? Use the direct route, but be able to be like, okay, how can I get them there and still do all these other things, these elements to help them get there without doing every single asana? Because again, not all of us are given 2 hours or 3 hours to teach. We're given an hour, hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half. And then you're like having to go to create, right? So giving you a way of being extremely creative, but also helping to sort of fine-tune what is already out there, right? Instead of doing a million asanas, be precise. Be concise in what you want to teach and teach it. And it could be, again, it could be focusing in on the earth. It could be focusing on the water. If you know the elements of the body that relate to water, that's what you do. Right? Tomorrow will be in a lot of water element. Right? Because the element of the spine, element of the heart is air, but the element of the spine is water. Right? And so your spine does not enjoy this. Right? Your spine actually enjoys this, right? It's like no one yawns and goes, right? It's very organic. It's like, and you just kind of, your spine moves. When you get up in the morning, you don't get up, and I'm sorry, God rest Patabi Joy. He did not get up and stand in Vera fucking 2, right? No one gets up, jumps out of bed, and goes, okay, Kapalabhati, breathe, right? Everyone gets up, they yawn, they take a shit. We get in the shower, and we're like, oh, right? When you shower, do you go, scrub my arm, scrub that? Right? You get in the water, right? The water element is very essential. It has that feeling of movement of life. We get in the water and we're like, oh, and we rub our bodies. Whether you lather it up, whatever, it is a movement. No one gets and goes, okay. Right? Come on. You're just like, it's like, you feel your body. You massage it. You're getting in touch with the largest cell of your body, right? And so you're like, it becomes much more of a natural movement, right? Water feeling, right? And so, again, everybody does it. We just don't like to talk about it, right? Talk about it, right? You're like, we're going to be in the water element, and I want you to like, dark chocolate. Like, when you're in the heart wave, you better have them being like, right? Because that's the element that you're teaching them, right? It's like dark red wine, right? And you're just like, it's like having great sex. I'm telling you, back bends, heart rising is like having big orgasms because it's like, time you go deeper and deeper, there is what they call the Kundalini. And each cycle, as you go deeper in this way of teaching, creates more energy that's from the heart pressing down into your sacrum. And when that energy in the sacrum gets so massive, it explodes up like a snake rising into the brain, right? Right. And so when you're in the heart element, they should be going like, their eyes should be rolling in the back of their head, right? And so, again, tomorrow you will see, like, we are going to be going to be going, and to the point where it's like, by the end, your eyes are going to be kind of like this. Right? You're going to feel that element of like, whoa, what's going on? Right? It's like smoking the best weed ever. Heart risings are amazing. I love being in heart risings. Like, there is nothing like it. It's like, right? But that creates that. And that's what the spine loves to do. It loves to be here. It's scary. I will say, heart risings, when you start teaching them, your students will be very, very scared because it brings up fear. Fear of the unknown, right? Because we're very used to, our body is very prone to rounding and protecting our heart. And we use that, right, back in the day when we were all hunters, right? People had to guard their heart because you don't want to get stabbed, right? You don't want to be one of the eated, right? And so there was a use of protecting. And now we do it just automatically because of our lifestyle of creating text, laptops. We guard our heart constantly, right? We don't want to get hurt. We don't want to feel like abandoned. We want to be loved, right? But we're like always protecting the heart. Whereas when we come into opening it, feels very opposite of what we're used to. And so we're here, and it creates all this fear. What's going to happen if I open my heart? I don't know. What's going to happen? You open your heart. That's what's going to happen, right? But we're all like, oh no, right? And it becomes this like, is someone going to catch me? Am I going to?
I've gone, I'm afraid of doing backbends because I'm too scared, too afraid. Well, the worst thing that's going to happen is you fall down. We'll pick you back up, we'll get you on the horse, get you back in there. Right? Some people are like, I don't know if I can do Urdhva Dhanurasana. I've never done it before. If you safely open them and keep showing them Urdhva Dhanurasana, keep showing it to them, keep showing it to them, keep showing it to them in different ways, eventually they're like, oh, Urdhva Dhanurasana. And it doesn't mean that you're coming here every single time, right? Low lunges are a great way, right? Shoulder opener. This is what's needed. This is the start of Urdhva Dhanurasana. If I had opened my, and I was here, it's Urdhva Dhanurasana. I'm just doing it in a lunge. It's very safe. It's very opening, right? They're releasing the shoulders. They're opening shoulders. They're opening the spine. And so over time, they're like, oh yeah.